Hello everyone, it is Sunday night and we are coming to you live from inside of Bat City Comic Professionals in Bradenton, Florida to help you wind down your weekend. As always, I'm your host Shannon Live, aka Small Press Shann, here to tell you about all of this week's latest and greatest in indie and small press new releases. But before we talk about comics, we can't wind down our weekend without some delicious wine to kick it off. So this week we have Les Cateresses, which is French for the Carters, which I assume is the people who make the wine. It's a Cotes de Rhone, and I am really excited to try it because it's probably going to be fantastic. I'm going to see what this... Oh my gosh, that smells very strong. I'm trying to see if it smells like cedar because Matt said that they said that it had like some cedar taste to it, but I'm like...
Smell some cedar.
You can smell a little bit of it. It doesn't smell like living in Austin, Texas, but it smells like a little hint of it, like when you have a cedar candle that you just lit for the first time. It has like a very florally side of them. Let's taste it. Oh, that's a lot of things. Which it is. It's 4 different kinds. It's 50% Grenache, 20%. I did not look up how to say the sea name. Carignan.
Oh yeah, and that has it doesn't sound like it at all.
No.
It's one of those that it has a totally different name.
And I don't know what it is. And then 20% Syrah, and then 10% Mourvedre. Mourvedre. Oh yes, it is the other way on that. And so essentially, like, it's like they call them GSMs, but this also has the C that I don't know what it is in there. So you're getting like 4 different kinds of flavors, but yeah, it's supposed to be, which they say it's got a little bit of a spiciness to it. It's not too spicy, but
open up to it.
Yeah, I would imagine. But what are you tasting? You taste a little bit of the fruit.
Blackberries.
Mm-hmm.
Raspberries.
Is that the one I'm tasting? Is it raspberry?
It's the tartness.
Mm-hmm.
The tart
Okay.
of the blackberry and the raspberry, I think.
I would say it's probably the raspberry because it doesn't taste like a typical blackberry wine. Mm-hmm.
Plum, cedar, oak.
You taste the oak already?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. And you taste the cedar. What do you think cedar tastes like?
It's like a spicier, rounder, redder version of oak. I don't know how to...
I feel like cedar tastes like an itchy nose and watery eyes.
It tastes like whenever I cut into a cedar tree with a chainsaw and the shavings and sawdust got in my mouth.
I mean, that is accurate.
Yeah.
I've had cedar like leaves in my room, like the autumnal over here trying to come and kill me, but that's the closest to that flavor. And like Christmas, where it's like on the edge of, like, you put the leaves from the cedar like on like the edge of the ham dish or something, like that's like for the decoration. It's kind of like the closest tasting cedar I've ever come.
This is lighter too. It's very like light to medium body.
Yeah, it's very light on the foreground, and then like the back has a little bit more density to it.
Not very tannic.
No.
Light tannic.
It's nice. I like it. I'm excited to drink more. And we will all show long. I'm going to slide it over there for just a sec while we're going to do it the opposite way so I don't knock that down. While we talk about things. There was a lot going on at Bad City in October. We had so much. We wrapped up October this week we just had Queer Book Club. Once again, a thank you to our Queer Book Club curator, Molly Saunders. She is fantastic and always brings amazing books. And thank you to everybody who came for when I arrived at the castle. Our November read is actually going to be Indie Stevenson's memoir, which is The Fire Never Goes Out. And so we have some of those on order for the store. If you're interested in picking one of those up, let us know so we can make sure you get that. And that book club will be the Wednesday a week before Thanksgiving. Cause usually Queer Book Club's the last Wednesday of the month. We're moving it up this month because we're, Thanksgiving's coming. And then we had an awesome creator meetup, and Katie and creators made a cool Exquisite Corpse themed kind of rollout, which was awesome. And of course, we had a lot of fun in our community for the Halloween season. And so thank you for everybody who came to all the events all month long, all of our vendors, all of our artists, all of you. It was just so great. Of course, it's November, so that means new events and new things kicking off. Coming up this week, we have Zine Night this Wednesday. Yes, Wednesday? Okay. We have Zine Night this Wednesday at 6 p.m., which is going to be awesome. And then this Saturday is art class for kiddos with Miss Katie. So if you've got some kiddos this Saturday at noon, we'll have that. And then we will actually be heading to the park over in Palmetto from 4 to 6 to hand out free comics for reading in the park this Saturday, which is going to be a lot of fun. I'm really excited to go do that in conjunction with the Rocky Bluff Library. You can find all the information on their website. And then just to give you a little rundown for big important things happening in November, don't forget that November is our annual chili cook-off. That will be November 15th. You can sign up now by emailing us, and then tomorrow I will probably be making an official Google form, and so that will come back to you if you've already sent an email, or that Google form will be added to the event for people who haven't signed up yet. We're really excited about it. It's going to be a ton of fun. It was awesome last year. I can't wait for all the delicious chilies that we'll get to have, and that'll be November 15th. It's free to enter. It's also free to come and get to try all the chilies. Other big events we have going on in November, of course, Small Business Saturday. We are going to have our sidewalk sale where you're going to get to shop all of the books from the secret storage that nobody ever gets to shop. Those will be going out on Small Business Saturday, as well as some other great deals. We will have Creator Meetup will be the Wednesday before Thanksgiving instead of on that Thursday. And at that Creator Meetup, we are actually going to have the Director of Sales from Ignition, Dan Crary, and the Marketing Assistant from Square Enix, Alex Scola, here to talk to you about, what you're working on and some cool things you need to know for the getting into the industry. We're really, really excited for them to be here. And also we will be doing a really cool launch party for Arcadia from Ignition Press that same day with a lot of cool goodies that you can grab. So you'll have to come by the Wednesday before Thanksgiving for all of that fun. There is a calendar. It's up on Instagram. All the details for all of November's events are up on our Facebook. You can check it out there and find all the details on those events, and more to come for sure as more and more things get added. One of the things we really want to remind people is we are going to have a box at the front of the store, which is basically going to be our in-store food pantry. If you have non-perishable foods that you can bring and donate throughout the month of November so that we can make sure that people in our community have food, there's going to be a spot where you can leave that. And if you are somebody in our community who needs food this November, please stop by and grab food out of that box. It is going to be just community giving to each other. So please feel, if you have it to give. I don't know if you saw, even the Manatee County food banks put out a press release that they are actually already in desperate need of food, and now that number is going up even more as of yesterday. And so please donate if you can. If it's not to us, take it directly to a Manatee County food bank. However you can help, it's always helpful to remember that our community is stronger when we work together. And other things for this week / November that are big announcements. If you didn't know, the new Bat City sticker dropped. This was awesome. It dropped this Wednesday. We're really excited about it. And this is a Toxic Avenger sticker with artwork done by Matt Bors, who is the writer of the Toxic Avenger comic book series, and the Toxic Crusaders. He's also the person who drew our cover for us. And we're going to be talking about Matt a lot on this live stream, because he has so many cool things out this week. But these are free with every purchase at Bat City while supplies last. So make sure you grab your Toxie sticker while you can, because they are so cool and they're going to go fast. All right, I'm going to take one more drink of my wine. Oh, yeah, that's nice. All right, and we're going to kick it off with some Thundercats. I'm going to sneeze. Is it the cedar in the wine? No. It might be. No. We've got Thundercats issue 20 from Dynamite. If you've been following along with the Thundercat story, you know that this is in the world of the cartoon. Thundera has been destroyed, and our Thundercats group, that is our little small group of survivors, has been on Third Earth trying to make a home, and they've been dealing with the mutants. We've also learned that Lion-O was kidnapped. Well, I guess he wasn't really kidnapped so much as walked into a trap by Mum-Ra and has been missing ever since. In this story, we actually get to see, or in this issue, we get to see the story of Jaga, Lion-O's dad, and Mum-Ra, and their friendship that they had back when they were younger, and what kind of led to Mum-Ra becoming evil. And so this is essentially his origin story, but it's done in a way where we're also seeing kind of where those two are at the same time right now in the experience of where in the Thundercats world that we're in. It was really interesting for me because I honestly didn't know the origin story of Mum-Ra, because Thundercats is just like a couple of years like before my time, so I kind of watched it with my brother but kind of didn't. And so it was really cool to see. I don't know if it's the same story that they use in the cartoon, but it was really cool to see how it fits into this, and just that, you know, power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely kind of situation. And so a really fun issue for sure. Sam and Twitch Case Files, issue 19 from Image Comics and your Spawn universe. This is one of those where if you have absolutely no knowledge of Spawn at all, you can still read the series, and you should be, because it's just a great detective story. And we've just wrapped a different, like the second arc of this really just kind of wrapped up the big mystery that Sam and Twitch were on. And now we're on a new mystery entirely. And as they're supposed to be kind of taking it easy, Sam is given all of the work from somebody who retired, and he's going through some old case files. And in it, he finds out that one of the cases that they solved long ago has actually been popping up with new cases and new issues of the same thing that look like it's the same criminal that they caught years ago. Seems like somebody is copycat killing, or maybe the killer is back, but they've never released the information before, so there's no way there could be a copycat, or at least that's what Sam believes. And so he and Twitch are having to investigate a case that people were kind of hoping to sweep under the rug, and a case that's definitely going to bring back a lot of trauma for Sam himself. And so seeing him and Twitch trying to learn how to work through this as they go, it's nice because the first two arcs that they did, the first big cases they solved, were really Twitch focused emotionally, and so it's nice that we're going to get to see Sam kind of have an emotionally charged journey this time. Knights, issue 16 from Image Comics. This has been on a big break, and they actually, because of that, do a really good recap at the beginning of it to kind of tell you where we are. But this has been, it's the story of a vampire girl who lives in like a alternative version of Florida. I always say this is like if Miyazaki made movies about America instead of Japan. This is what it would feel like. And this has kind of been taking us through the origin of Grey herself, and kind of putting us back into the origin of how her and the person who's been hunting her, the Slayer that's been after her all of the series, has been like how they knew each other when they were younger and what their connection points are. And when we last left them, they were on this island where they were just kind of basically taken in by a magical cult, and her other friend, who she is dating at the time, is trying to learn to use some magic he didn't know he had. And we start to see some very dangerous people on the island, as well as some weird connections between everybody, and maybe just why our person became the evil person that he is going to start to flow in here. I can't wait to see how this origin section wraps up and connects back into the modern stuff, because we have been so far gone from our friends from modern times. But always interesting to see what they're putting together in Knights, because that story definitely grew a lot from that first arc into where we are now. Rockefellers, issue 10 from Image Comics and the Ghost Machine universe. This is part of our Family Odyssey stories at Ghost Machine, which is more of your all ages, anybody can enjoy it. And Rockefellers has definitely been one of the craziest stories to see how it unfolded. Basically, this is about a family from the future who the parents were, specifically the dad, kind of created a technology that really could change everything for humanity, and kind of one of those where it's like, hey, if you take this too far, you really mess with ethics and the moral standings that we should all kind of be looking at. And him and his family were the lead researchers on all of this. And when he realized that he was in danger, and so was all of his family, he takes his family and they jump back in time to find safety, and they end up in our time. In the last couple of issues, we've actually figured out what that research was, as well as the connection for each member of the family to this good guy, bad guy kind of situation. And so we also realized in the last issue that we probably needed to run, and we needed to get out of where we were at right now because things are getting dangerous. But the kids ask if just one more night they could stay where they are and celebrate Halloween with their friends and maybe get some candy for the road as they have to travel again. And that one decision could make or break the entire experience for the family, as the person that's been hunting them slowly catches up to them and puts us on a high-speed adventure immediately, which is such a cool book. If you haven't read this yet, I highly recommend it. Again, I say it all the time. If you're a fan of things like Super Sons, this is Peter Tomasi and Francis Manapul working on this, and so you do get a lot of that same family dichotomy as well as really cool adventure and heart. The Pale Knight, issue 6 from Mad Cave. This is the wrap-up of the Pale Knight, and so we finally see how his adventure comes to a conclusion. If you haven't read Pale Knight yet, this is the story of a man who is at the time when they're he's a member of the Knights Templar, and it's at the time when they are fighting these crusades, and he comes home only to find out that the plague has infested his family and the world around him, and he tries to make a deal with death to save his son from dying of this plague. And the deal that death makes him is he'll save his son only if he kills the one good knight in the world that death seems to not be able to stop. And so he has gone on this massive adventure over the last 6 issues to try to figure out how to stop this knight and all the bad things that could happen to him, the death, the destruction, the double crossings, the betrayals. They're all coming to a head in this issue. And what I like about it is while all that is happening, we see another character who is like a minor character connected to a man in prison who happens to be the court jester of a kingdom. And the court jester is just like, I'm locked in this prison because I think everything in the outside world is terrible, and yet he sees so much about humanity and what's different and crazy through this journey that this one guy goes on. It's absolutely fantastic ending. Peter Milligan really just created a great story with this one, and it says in the very first issue I was like, it was kind of starting a little slow. I don't know if this is going to be the book for me, and now by the end I'm so happy I stuck with it because there's so much to it that really just spoke a lot to the human condition. We've got Sleep, issue 6 from Image Comics, and since I said we were going to bring him up a lot, we've got this wicked awesome Matt Borse cover on this issue. If you haven't been reading Sleep, it is a wild adventure all about a town where very dangerous stuff is happening. It seems like a lot of people are murdered. The town's getting destroyed every time at night. All this stuff just seems to happen. And we've kind of pinpointed it on maybe there's some sort of demon or something that's doing it. And if we're reading the story, it seems to be all tied to this one young man who works at a coffee shop. And it seems like every time he passes out and wakes up, he's in the middle of all of the destruction. And in the last issue, his best friend decided she was going to help him figure out what this demon inside of him was and how to help him get rid of it and save the people of the town. And he's been so adamant about trying to get this monster out of him and stop hurting people. And I love it because in this issue, he has this moment where something happens and he's like, maybe it's time. Maybe this time for me and this monster to come to terms with who we both are and realize that there's bigger monsters in this world. And it's such a cool issue for this story for sure. Black Ritual, the Book of Nyx, issue 6 from Image Comics and our Spawn universe. Yet another one that we don't really need to know anything about the Spawn universe to do it, but if you're looking for a really cool magic book with witchcraft, this is actually a really great one for that. This is actually about a girl named Nyx who comes back to New York City because she feels called by the witches of New York City, and when she gets there, she discovers that a bunch of witches have been going missing, and she feels like it's her responsibility to find them. And she's been going on this adventure, And she's found a witch hunter, and yet she's realized that the witch hunter actually isn't really even the problem. And in the last issue, she found a way to commune with these like ancient witches on the dark side of the moon, only to find out that they kind of have to lead her down a path. They won't just tell her what she needs to know, but they are like, hey, the witches aren't dead, they're just missing, and it's up to you to find them. And what she finds out about them as she does her research, it leads us to a completely different story and a bigger problem for her entirely. One of the things I think is really cool about this book is the creator very much wants people to understand like that witchcraft is like a real thing, and if you treat it with respect, like it can be a helpful tool. And so at the back, they actually do tell you about the resources that are mentioned in the book that she looks at, and like how they always try to use like real books and real things that you can go and you can also do that research with, which is really cool. All right, it's that time of month where I'm going to tell you that Money Shot exists and then show you nothing from the inside. So Money Shot Big Bang issue 5 from Vaults. This is kind of the wrap up of this story arc. If you don't know Money Shot, we're going to pretend like I can show you things from it. I probably can't. Definitely can't show you that page. Maybe, no, okay, I'm just going to hold it. We're not even going to try. If you don't know Money Shot is the story of a bunch of scientists who are doing research and they can't get the funding that they need. Like, funding is cut for intellectual research, and so they decide the best way to fund it is essentially to start like an OnlyFans situation, and they start doing sexy pictures and porn and things around the different universes. In this arc, our explorers are actually trying to stop their own deaths because they see a blast from the future that shows them getting killed by a man who leads a cult that believes sex is the worst thing to ever happen. And so he is actually trying to like destroy sex forever, which of course would not work because then there'd be no procreation and there'd be no people. And so they're trying to stop all of that in the most hilarious, fun way possible. It's an 18 and up book. I mean, it's literally it's called Money Shot. You should know. There's going to be sex in it. There's going to be nudity. It's definitely for adults only. But it's hilarious. And Patton Oswalt wrote those issues, so you know it's good. All right, bouncing back to Matt Boers, we've got Toxic Team Up issue 5. This is Toxic Avenger meets Justice Warriors, and this is from Ahoy Comics. And if you don't know, not only is Matt Boers the writer of the Toxic Avenger series, but he is also the creator of Justice Warriors. And so this is the last of the Toxic Team Ups, and Matt saved the last for this world that he has been in for a while. And this issue is absolutely hilarious. Basically, our world decides that they should send all of the toxic sludge out of it they're going to send it off to space. So they send Toxie out with some sludge to space. But when he's in the process of doing that, he gets knocked off course and ends up in a different time period. And in that different time period, he ends up in Bubble City, home of the Justice Warriors, and he just happens to get caught by our two hilarious police officers. And they are quite confused about how Toxie got there and why he's there, and also why mutants are considered bad where he's from, because where they're from, they're all mutants. And so why is it such a weird thing that he's a mutant? And also, is pollution, and Toxie's like, oh my god, this pollution is leaking out. Like, we have to stop this pollution from destroying your city. And they're like, yeah, sure. Is that in our codes? Is that our job? Because they're the worst cops ever. And so we get to see them kind of figure out like what exactly their jurisdiction is and how they're going to help Toxie get home. And so it's just a fun, exciting adventure in two Matt Boersy worlds. And so it's fantastic. And Matt actually lettered this issue too. So all Matt Boers all the time. Biker Mice from Mars, issue 5 from Oni Press and your Nacelle universe. Nacelle, if you don't know, is Biker Mice from Mars, Cowboys of Moo Mesa, The Great Garloo, Robo Force. I think that's most of them. I think there might be one more, but that's most of them. The Biker Mice from Mars universe, though, we have been following this story as the Plutonians or Plutarchians, are trying to destroy Mars, and they have taken hostage this scientist who has created a machine that's supposed to actually be used for good, but they're using it for evil, and they're using it to create all these climate problems, specifically earthquakes that have been destroying all the different places on Mars, and the biker mice have been trying to keep everybody safe, but at this point, the only thing they can do is take the scientists to the machine and hopefully, get the machine back and save the day. But the biker mice don't realize that there's more to the story than what they know, and she believes that she can actually, in this issue, install one more piece of the puzzle, and maybe it'll save the day, but they are not necessarily quick enough and don't really know what that process is going to be, and so this issue actually just opens up even bigger adventures for us to go on with these biker mice as this continues to be an ongoing for the story. Monster High, House Haunters, issue 5 from IDW. This is the final issue of the House Haunters little mini arc, which has been great. All of the Monster High stories coming out of IDW right now are fantastic. If you haven't read this yet, you need to, and you need to enjoy all of the fun. But basically, a couple of the Monster High girls decide to go to a scare B&B for the Halloween weekend, only to find out that the house being haunted is completely different than they thought. And the Titan mother of all monsters has decided that she is going to break free from this haunted house and destroy everything that the girls have hold dear at their school. And she has stripped them of all of their powers, and each of the girls have to figure out how to fight their way through this haunted house and stop her from taking over before it's too late. We get to see them learn a lot about themselves, a lot about each other. We get to meet a whole new character who's going to join us at Monster High, and of course, it's all done with a great amount of puns and excitement. So if you didn't read it, it's all 5 issues are out now. You absolutely want to jump into it. It's a perfectly fun read. We've got Blue Palo Verde issue 5 from Mad Cave, also wrapping up this week. This is the story of a woman who is just gotten out of jail and is very excited to finally return home and kind of make amends to her father, that she feels like she has always had to sacrifice everything for her. And when she gets home, she finds out that he's moved to another town, and she goes to try to find him, and he's sick and in danger. And she's like, I need to get him out of here, only to find out that this town is a giant cult that worships a woman in the woods who kind of just chooses a person from the town to be her love. And as long as they keep this goddess happy, the town thrives and is beautiful and wonderful. And she gets wrapped up in that extremely immediately, and is just basically forced to kind of decide where she's going to fall on this cult belief system, and whether or not she's going to be able to save her dad. It's going to all tie into that. This is the final issue, so I don't want to be all spoilery and tell you about all the big choices that she makes, but if you didn't read it, now all 5 issues are out, so you don't have the stress of, oh my god, what's going to happen, because you could just get all 5 issues at the same time. Don't Run with Scissors from Keen Spot. This is also, this is issue 4, and this is the end of this as well. I love just looking at Stefano Cardicelli's art. It's always so wild and cool, and this is no exception. Francesca Perilla always makes really weird stories with Stefano, and so they just make some really cool stuff. And this one is no different. This is about a young woman who seems to have all these cut marks on her, and something weird is going on. And when the sheriff tries to investigate, things just keep getting weirder and weirder, and these essentially zombie-like people with scissors sticking out of them all over, start showing up all over town. And every time they try to take this woman home and be like, everything's gonna be okay, it gets worse. We finally figure out what exactly all of that is connected to in this issue, and we get to learn where these monsters are coming from, all these zombie-esque people with scissors, and how that this whole situation was awoken in the town. And I love this because it just has one of those great horror movie kind of feelings and endings with this story. So again, another one to check out if you didn't already. Toxic Avenger issue 4 from Ahoy Comics and Matt Borse. If you haven't been reading Toxie, we had a little mini series from Toxic Avenger that Matt did, and now this is our Toxie ongoing that's coming in. What's really cool with this is that we're getting different styles of Toxie stories in each one of these, and Matt is bringing in different artists. Like, you get Fred Harper, who's the main artist on it, but then since we're doing different kinds of stories, he's bringing in fun people, and this actually has Erica Henderson, known for Squirrel Girl, on it, and this is our romance issue, and so we are seeing some internet men who can't get dates trying to figure out how to destroy Toxie's all-star, I don't know how to say it. What's the best way to, like, his sex appeal to the world. Like, apparently everybody is, like, super into Toxie, and they're jealous of how much people think Toxie is hot on the internet, and so they're mad about it, and they want to go after Toxie, and they keep, the whole time they're coming up with different plans on how they're gonna, like, stop Toxie from being seen as a sex symbol. And at the same time, Toxie and his girlfriend are like, hey, what are the odds that, like, we could actually be intimate with each other? And she's like, Toxie, I want this to happen. And he's like, but I'm weird and mutated and nobody wants that. And she's like, I do, let's make this happen. And so it's just this balance of the two things back and forth, which is really, it's just a really cute story and a really fun one. I love the Toxie stories so far because you can kind of just jump in anywhere and just have a fun adventure with Toxie and enjoy it. And if you didn't know, I don't talk about them all the time, but every Ahoy book also has a prose article at the back, and I wanted to just call out the fact that both Toxie books this week have prose articles from our buddy Stuart. And the one in Toxie Team Up is hilarious because it's just like the train voiceover, like telling you, like, mind the gap and different things like that, but it just gets more and more absurd as it goes along. And this one's a really cool one about a guy who is at the top of a tower and he doesn't remember anything, and this little bag of popcorn just says that he is in love with Victoria, and he, like, it says I love you Victoria on it, and he's trying to figure out who Victoria is, and a random woman climbs up the tower and he's like, are you Victoria? And she's like, I have no idea. And it's just like this really weird off the wall story that is fantastic. We've got Moonshine Bigfoot issue 4 from Image Comics. This is also the wrap-up of this arc of Moonshine Bigfoot. Happy to say he will be back. Very excited because this story is hilarious. This is like if you put Bigfoot in the Dukes of Hazzard and then made it more absurd. We have a Bigfoot who, like I said, he makes moonshine, and he has a hippie girlfriend who is really actually awesome. I love her so much. And a best friend who's a ghost. But then they have recently been not captured. They have somebody trying to capture them, I should say. A man who really wants to take them down and has been trying to figure out how to capture this Bigfoot with all his corporate money and things of that nature. And it's just not working out for him. And he goes about it in some really absurd, off-the-wall ways. And this issue is no different. And he's got the sheriff. He thinks he's got the sheriff on his side. He's kind of like brainwashed him, but the Bigfoot's never been caught by the sheriff before. And so we just get to see a really fun adventure story in all of this. And if you haven't read it yet, like, the art's wild and crazy and off the wall, and the adventure gets bigger and bigger every issue. And the fact that they're like, hey, this is just one of Moonshine Bigfoot's adventures, more to come, makes me even more excited to see what's going to happen. But I don't want to spoil, again, I don't want to spoil all the ending because it's the wrap-up issue. But read it. It's fun. It's one of those where you're like, I just need something really ridiculous and funny, and I don't know what I want it to be. Moonshine Bigfoot is that. This came out like 3 weeks ago. I just hadn't read it, so we didn't talk about it. Romanus Magicae issue 3. I still don't remember what publisher this is. Cambrian Comics. This is, as far as I know, this is the only book we've ever had from Cambrian, and I'm really actually enjoying this story. It's such a cool concept, but this is all about a Roman man who was in the Roman army, and he was at a battle where basically everybody died and they were kind of all betrayed, and it messed him up really bad, and he's just become like the drunken guy on the streets and in the bars, and he ends up meeting up with these people who have this woman that they have been protecting, and basically she's an official oracle, but the gods are speaking through her and she's able to see the future. And so they've been trying to protect her. And in the last issue, she was caught by these people who want to use her to their own advantage. And they were all taken captive too. And they're trying in this issue to get the Romans to kind of join their allies, like their alliance. And kind of earn his status back in the SPQR at the expense of these very people. And she's like, the city is going to burn. Everything bad is going to happen. Like, you're going to let this demon awaken if you do that. And he's kind of got to decide what side he's on, as well as whether or not he's going to help his people that have been captured with him get out. Meanwhile, the things she's predicting are coming true left and right, and things are getting darker and darker as the moment goes on. Really cool, like, magic in ancient Rome kind of story. The Sixth Gun, Battle for the Sixth, issue 3 from Oni Press. This is a new story in the Sixth Gun world that's kind of more of like closer to a prequel for that universe. So if you haven't read the Sixth Gun before, you don't necessarily have to read this. But this is all about there are 6 weapons in throughout time that are these magical weapons, and basically each one has a different like a video game, like you get a weapon and it gives you different skill powers and stuff. Well, these magical weapons do just that, and the holder of all 6 of them basically wields unlimited power. And in the original Six Gun story, that was both very, very bad and very less bad for everybody. And so we're seeing this story, they're kind of trying to figure out like where these 6 weapons are, and because they're called guns, everybody assumes that they're actual guns, but they start finding out that they are things like swords, they are bow and arrow set, they're different things like that. And as they start to find them in these, we're watching as some of the bad guys have some of them and the good guys have other ones, and then there's other people who we don't really know where their alliances fall that seem to find some, and they're shifting hands back and forth really quickly, and you don't really know who's going to end up with it and who's the good guy and who's the bad guy and where it's all going to go, but you know it's going somewhere. And it's the journey just gets wilder in every issue because you never know when a double cross is going to happen. We've got Stitch, issue 3 from Disney and Dynamite Comics. This is just a fun anthology that actually kind of follows more of the like Jumba and what is his name, Pleaky, the bad guys from the Lilo and Stitch world, the ones who created Stitch. And it's just them creating more inventions that always go wrong. And in this one, Pleaky finds out that Jamba has created like a wish fulfillment machine. And so he creates, he decides that he wants to be out of the evil industry and just become a restaurateur. And so he's given a restaurant, like a cheeseburger restaurant. And then he becomes the face of cheeseburgers. And he's like, this isn't what I wanted. I don't really like this, but for some reason, because none of Jamba's inventions ever work out right, every other wish that Pleaky has comes with cheeseburgers. So it's like, oh, you're the all-star basketball player. Turns out there are no basketballs. There's just cheeseburgers. Oh, you're going to climb Mount Everest. At the top of Mount Everest, there's cheeseburgers. And it's like everywhere he goes. And then he has, here you go, Matt, this is for you. He has a War of the Worlds kind of dream, and their tripods are cheeseburgers. I was like, I think Matt wrote this issue in his sleep one day because it's just him dreaming about cheeseburgers.
I had that dream.
I believe that. So he just keeps going on, and finally he comes back to Jamba, and he's like, how come nothing works out that you make? And he's like, because I didn't want you to get away. Like, I didn't want you to wish your way away from me. And like, I wanted you to be my friend, and it's cute. Yeah, and then they kiss, according to Katie. But cheeseburgers, I thought it was adorable to see all the way cheeseburgers came into play in every single dream.
I'm gonna get a tattoo of that.
Of the cheeseburger tripod? Yeah. Oh my god, I think you should totally do that. Just take this over to 29 Palms and be like, can you tattoo a tripod cheeseburger on my leg or something?
On my face.
Oh, on your face? Okay. That is one way to make sure your cheeseburgers are always with you.
Absolutely.
We've got Blink and You'll Miss It, issue 3 from Boom Studios. This is one of those crazy off-the-wall time travel books, but also in the way where we also have a weird cult story going on. And so this is about a woman who lives in a small town, and when she gets to her older age, like this girl comes back and it's basically like, I've been trying to help you like get out like this whole time. We need to get you out. And then it kind of goes back in time, or it does go back in time to when she's younger. And we see that there's been so many opportunities for her to leave this place, and that there's something weird going on with the church in her home and the way all of the adults like use the children for some weird, crazy cult-like things. And every time she's trying to get out, she's like, I can't leave because of my sister, or I can't leave because of this thing. And she keeps having these different moments with the same woman over and over again, this girl named Jessie. And Jesse's like, we have to get you out of here. And then there's times where she's like, Jessie, you have to go. Like, and there's just, what are like these monsters that they're like, they find coming after them. And those monsters that are really like just creepy people. We're still kind of in one of those points with this one where the story could go in any direction, and we don't really necessarily know a definitive through line of what's happening because we are only on issue 3. And so it's one of those where you're like, I think I've solved this book, and then you're like, turn the page and you're like, never mind, no I didn't, I don't know what's happening. It's gonna come clear when we get to the end, and we're gonna be like, oh, that's where this was going. But until then, you're just gonna be going on a weird off the wall adventure until it happens. All right, I'm gonna take another drink of this wine because we're gonna hit number 2s and number 1s. So, oh whoa, that's completely different wine. What the heck is that? Whoa.
Do you not like it?
No, I do. But it's like completely different, and it doesn't even taste like any of the other wines that I've had recently. That's like so different.
Whoa.
Yeah. What the crap is that?
The wood flavors opened up.
Mm-hmm. I don't think I've ever had something that was that woodsy. Yeah. That's crazy. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's what cedar tastes like. Got it. I've established.
There's definitely a smoke to it.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think it also said tobacco.
I don't know. It doesn't on the thing, so that would be on your app.
Yeah.
You'd have to look. So it's good. It's definitely a different flavor. All right. We're jumping into number 2s. And we're kicking it off with The Phantom from Mad Cave. This is that book, like, all day long today. Every time I came in contact with people, they were like, what book are you liking so far right now today? And I'm like, actually, The Phantom, number 2, is, like, the one that sticks out the most, as I was talking to people about it. And it's such a cool way that they did this issue. If you don't know, The Phantom, he's kind of defender of this like area in Africa that he's always like the Phantom has always existed there, and whether it's him or, you know, somebody else in the situation, like there's always somebody there as the Phantom, like long running experience of this protector of this area. And in this issue, in this series, the Phantom has a friend who is an adult man whose dad is the leader of this village that the Phantom protects, and he's sick and dying, and so the son's kind of acting in the dad's stead. Well, a drug lord has moved into the area and has taken over a lot of the other villages as a place to, like, grow his drugs and force people to work for him. And in the last issue, a helicopter went down that was carrying some of those drugs, and so they went down right by the village that the Phantom protects. And so they have come to this village, and in this issue, it's the sit-down between the drug lord and the son of the elder of the village, and they're both kind of playing this chess game with the other one. And it's so cool because usually when you see those situations, it's like the guy's like afraid and he's like, okay, we'll give you whatever you want. But this guy is like, you're gonna want this and you're gonna ask for this, and you think that you are gonna get this and this and this from us, and I'm going to give you this much because I want to protect my people, but I want you to know you're the one who's made the mistake, because the Phantom walks. And you're like, oh man, I want to see the Phantom like tear stuff up. And you do get to see that in the background, like while this conversation is going on. So it's just such a fun issue of the Phantom, and so well written. And if you're not reading the Phantom yet, this is like, it's just fun. I know, like, we have Flash Gordon on the shelf, and we had the Defenders, and everybody was like, kind of like, oh, is this going to come out of the Defenders book? It doesn't. It's a standalone Phantom book, and it is such a good Phantom story. If you like pulp comics, it feels in line with what you expect for the Phantom. And if you don't know the Phantom at all, this is a great way to get to know him and kind of bring him into the modern world from those pulp classics and the show. Highly recommend that you check out the Phantom if you're not already. Flow issue 2 from Mad K. Last week I was sitting around thinking, I wonder when Flow comes out, and then it was here. And so this is all about a group of people who are now in their adult lives. But when they were kids, they were the group bullies at a summer camp. And it's very much like the Carrie story. Like a young girl gets her period for the first time, and the other kids at the camp are kind of afraid of the big bully girl. And so they assist in helping bully the young girl who's got her period for the first time, basically telling her that, like, she has to do all these, like, different things to block the curse of the attack that's happening on her. Well, now here we are, and it's like 30 years later, and they're all adults, and now they are starting to see some weird, crazy stuff happen to each of them. And it's kind of like, oh, we're getting our comeuppance, and something is is she haunting us? Is she after us? What's going on? And so you get that classic horror story feel. And it's done so well. Like, it's hitting all the little beats where you're like, oh, like, this is where, like, the music would, like, get eerie, and then, like, the thing happens. And you're bouncing back and forth between the childhood and the adulthood so perfectly well to kind of keep you in the loop of what all they did before, like, the big thing happens. And so very cinematic in the storytelling style. Robo Wolf is back with issue 2 from Dark Horse. This has been a long time coming for this issue 2. I know I've had lots of people asking me for it, but it is here, and it is just as absurd as issue 1. Robo Wolf is if you put a robotic, like, cybernetic wolf in place of Arnold Schwarzenegger or Sylvester Stallone in an 80s movie, that's what you get. And specifically in this one, we actually hear the story of Robo Wolf and one of his friends, who is now one of his greatest enemies. And you get to hear their story about when they were in the war together and how they were like, we're here to stop bad guys from being mean to people. And then it's like, oh, now we're going to be the bad guys. And Robo Wolf's like, I'm not into that. And so that's, like, how their friendship, like, falls apart. And now they're on this battlefield in the future because somebody has kidnapped Robo Wolf's daughter. He's trying to get her back. We get to see all these crazy battles. We get to see his team trying to figure out how to, like, hack the cybernetics on different people and how to get things to stop. It's absurd. It's off the wall. It's hilarious. I mean, honestly, if you are enjoying things like Toxic Avenger, this is definitely another one to put into your thing. And if you love 80s movies, 80s action movies, absolutely grab this book and check it out, because you're going to love the art. You're going to love the jokes. You're going to get all the references, and you're just going to have a fun time.
It's the most detailed art.
It's so detailed. It's so much. And I think Jake Smith does everything. Yeah, he's writing and illustrating it. So if you see books from Jake Smith, I would assume he's going to have some really great art on them, because that book is absurdly good with art. We've got Voyeur issue 2 from Ignition Press. This is another one that I'm like, I don't know how many pages I can show you, but I'll do my best. If you don't know this story, this is all about two art thieves that have managed to cross paths. In issue 1, we saw the man who was the security guard on this private island resort, who is also an art thief, watching over everything, and this woman that he is watching comes into his office and kind of addresses him about the fact that she wants to steal some art with him, and that she knows who he is, and that he's been watching her, and kind of creates this team up. This issue 2, is actually going to show us the same story from the other side. So it shows us how she got to the island, why she came to this island resort, and the emotional journey connected to that. But it also shows us her life as, like, her role in wanting to become this art thief, and why she's interested, and how she discovers Rook, who is the art thief that she finds, and just how she builds that that connection. And so it's really cool to see the story from both sides, especially because for him, since he was just watching things on a camera, we didn't really get a lot of the story from him. We just kind of got him reacting to the story. And so this is cool because this is what you would normally expect to see as the first issue. And so putting it as the second one kind of builds that weird connection and that voyeurism into it in a really cool way. So if you didn't check it out, grab that book if you want something like that's going to be like a super sexy, like spy kind of thriller. We've got issue 2 of Exo Man of War from Valiant and Alien Books. This is a completely like rebooted Exo Man of War situation. Steve Orlando is taking this one on, and he is our Exo Man of War himself finds himself tied to a tree at the end of issue 1 in some dangerous spot, and there are these kind of like the orcs in Lord of the Rings, like these like unearthed people, like these dangerous people who are kind of created to be more deadly and dangerous by the tasks that they do. Like they're kind of challenged. They're not orcs, they're humans, but like they have that like the way that like Uruk-hai are like built, where it's like go through these obstacles and you will have this power. That's kind of like where we are with this. Like these like men are told, like, if you survive this swamp of deadly like body parts and things like that, you're gonna have this ultimate power, and then you must, in order to prove your final battle, you must kill the Exo Man of War and you must destroy him, and he's chained to a tree, so it'll be really easy. But when they get there, they find out that he is in fact not chained to this tree, because a new group of people have come along and freed him, and the battle is only just beginning. And what this means for our lead character, what it means for all of these like soldiers who want to join these ranks, and what it's going to be for this team up, we're going to see as the story unfolds. You don't have to have all of the Exo Man of War knowledge, but I do feel like they haven't gone too detailed into it either, so it's kind of like maybe we don't need all of that like New Rome and all of that kind of knowledge to just have a superhero. All right, we got a lot of books starting this week. Up first, we've got Stake Presents Jessame, issue 1, from AMP Comics. So, I'm going to break this down for you really fast, because Stake is a book that existed 2019, 2020 to like 2021. That was all about a vampire. It was really cool. And it was done by Scout Comics, and I believe the same creative team that's actually on this now. And then this Jessame was a character in there, and we'd heard that we were going to get our own Jessame book back then. But when we lost Scout, we lost Jessame, and so AMP has now picked this up so we can actually get this story. So we're going to jump into what Jessame is now. And yeah, it's the same team. It's David Byrne writing it and Francesca Fantini on art. And so this is the story of Jessame, who is actually a vampire hunter, and maybe got a little, vampire powers in and of herself. But she is sent from she's works for a company that sends people out, and in this story we see a man who's going around and telling stories of this plantation where enslaved are disappearing and something is happening to them, and they're basically like, what is going on? And that story gets sent further and further around the country and all the colonies, and so they send Jessame across the sea to go figure out what exactly is happening and see, are these vampires who are getting out of line, and she's gonna have to stop them. And of course she's like, this will be a quick one and done, I'll be back in no time. But we get to see some of the enslaved who are living on that plantation, and things are definitely very strange, and there are some things that are going on there that it's like, ooh, what is actually happening here? And she thinks it's going to be a quick case, but as soon as she gets to the new world, there's definitely a lot that crosses her path immediately. Jessame was my favorite character in the Stake universe, and that's why I've been waiting for years for her to get her own story, and so I'm so excited that this is finally here. Thank you, AMP, for making it happen, and congrats to that team for that book finally coming out. You guys got to check it out. If you like vampires, definitely. If you like historical fiction, also check it out. All kinds of good reasons. We got Supernatural issue 1 from Dynamite. If you are a fan of the Supernatural TV show, and this wasn't already on your radar, put it on your radar now, because it is definitely for fans of the show. You don't have to necessarily know too much about the show to jump in on this issue. However, it definitely helps a lot. If you have a general knowledge of the show, though, I believe you can do it. I was told, I think some of our Supernatural fans said that this feels like season 2 time period, but again, I don't feel like you have to actually know that. This follows 2 brothers, Sam and Dean, who are demon hunters. Essentially, their job is to stop all things supernatural from causing problems in the real world. Their dad before them was a supernatural hunter, and he, after the death of their mother, kind of like went off and lost it, and now they are on their own quest. And in this issue, they find themselves in a small town, much like they do all the time, dealing with a supernatural disturbance that they are in no way, shape, or form actually prepared to deal with. And so they are investigating something that went down at a local brewery, and this woman is like, I'm here to help you. I'm so happy y'all are investigating this. And again, Dean is never prepared to deal with it when it's a pretty woman who's talking to him, and no matter how many times Sam tells him, like, hey, you're not handling this properly, nobody listens to Sam, and this doesn't necessarily go well. But this is going to feel a lot like the show, where you're going to have some through lines, but it seems like we're going to get some episodic, like, adventures. So again, if you're fans of the show, this is definitely for you. And if you've always wanted to know what the show was and you didn't want to watch 15 seasons of it, maybe this is the way for you to check it out and learn a little bit more about those characters. We've got Thundercats Chitara Worldbreaker, issue 1 from Dynamite. This could easily be either an ongoing series or a one-shot, and I was going to look that up beforehand, and I didn't, so just, let's just go with it. I like these Thundercat books that focus on Chitara, because I didn't know that I always thought she was the coolest looking one, and finding out that she's actually just the coolest one is even cooler. But this goes back in time when they're still on Thundara, and Chitara is still kind of in her space as this person who is part of, like, the royal family, and is up there in, like, lordship, ladyship, whatever you want to call it, in court, I guess I should say. And she's dealing with the fact that she's talking about all the things she learns from the Book of Omens, and her role as both, like, a leader in the battles, but also a leader in seeing things and experiencing things. And in this, she has to go to a ball, like a big gala, and she's frustrated by the fact that she hears all these voices, and it's really hard for her to kind of control the fact that she is hearing everybody's thoughts, and she's really uncomfortable with it. And she meets one girl at the party whose thoughts she can't hear, and she learns that girl also can hear other people's thoughts and can communicate that way. And when what she discovers is that girl has her own ulterior motives and reasons for wanting to be connected to the Thundercats and Chitara specifically, and we get to see where that leads and the dangers of that immediate trust, which is something that, if you're reading the Thundercats proper line, Chitara still struggles with all the time, and she always wants to see the good in people, and she's kind of struggles and is learning right now to stop doing that as much. We've got HasCon issue 1 from, I believe it's Bravo Blast Entertainment, and this was a Santiago Saturday pick this week, so if you didn't check that out, you can see that on our Instagram and our Facebook, what Santiago thought of it. But this is a really cool story, giving us kind of a cool sci-fi story about us kind of having to create something, to fight these aliens and these situations that's coming. And so we do get to see, let me see if I can find where it starts, but they basically tell these people that you can volunteer for this program that's going to super soldier you, essentially, to fight against alien invasions and things like that. But basically, like, once you volunteer for the program, you can never see your family again or anything. And our main character meets a girl who's like, oh, well, my family's really not sure why I would do this, because I have so many opportunities ahead of me. And she's like, what about you? Do you have family? And he's like, I have a daughter that I'm not allowed to see. So it doesn't really matter, but I just want her to have something to be proud of, like, when she does learn about me and think about me. And so he decides he's going to join this program and get the super serum and start to fight these aliens. And the alien invasion kind of like, they're like, oh, well, we solved the main alien invasion, but only to have something come back and it be worse years later. And so now it's like, okay, well, what are these people prepared to do? And how is this battle going to happen? And what's going to actually go down on the planet Earth? And can we actually, do anything about it? Is it too late? Is everything kind of destroyed already? Like, what does Earth actually have to actually fight for at this point? And so we're getting a really cool sci-fi universe built up really fast in this first issue, but also getting to see a lot of it move forward and a lot of the emotional journey starts as well. Maleficent, issue 1 from Disney Villains line at Dynamite. This is volume 2 of Maleficent. You do not have to read volume 1. They're both standalone stories from each other. But I like about this one is it actually goes back to, it feels more in line with the movie, because it does start at the point where Maleficent is mad that she didn't get invited to the thing, and she curses the baby, and the baby goes away, and she's just like, I need more power. Like, you know what? I don't care about this baby. I don't care about these people. I just want to be the most powerful woman in all of fairy lore and all of magic in general. And so she opens up this book and she casts a spell to bring these twin magic ghosts out to life. And they're like, in order for you to gain this extra magic that you want, you're going to have to go back to the fairy world and face off against some very dark things. And Maleficent's like, okay, stop talking, let's just do it. I'm powerful and amazing, and I'm Maleficent, and I'm just going to take everybody down right now. And so it sets up this big story of Maleficent going to the other world, and I can't wait, because I do think Maleficent is the most powerful, most awesome, and super cool, and I can't wait to see her be that. We've got the Dick Tracy Halloween special from Mad Cave. This has 2 stories inside of it. One major story that takes up most of the thing actually brings us to has a story of people being like zombies and monsters and attacking people thinking that mobsters are attacking that aren't actually attacking, as we find out that we have just a master of disguise coming through and attacking everybody. But my favorite thing about the whole thing has nothing to do with that. It has to do with the fact that Dick Tracy finds a young boy that he takes in to help him investigate the case, and they go out to eat, and the kid is giving him all the information and tests the information, and the kid just wants to be around Dick Tracy and learn from him, but he's just a street urchin, and we don't give him a name, but his name's gonna be Junior. So I'm just really excited that he gets brought into the mix a little bit, and we get to see that dynamic start. And there's this really cute moment where he has to he gets to actually be a kid, and I do love that him and Tess go on their own adventure to solve the case while Dick Tracy's trying to be all busy doing stuff. This is 10 out of 10. Tess is the leader of this book. She is solving all of the mysteries and all the murders and all the things happening. And in this second story, and is also what happens, Tess and Dick are supposed to go to this big gala, and of course he goes off on a case and isn't ready to go, and so she starts going to the party on her own, or at least she thinks she is, but she ends up following these witches who are actually not going to the party at all, but are doing some nefarious deeds, and Tess does all of the work to figure out what is actually happening. So if you want to see Tess Trueheart be awesome, get the Dick Tracy Halloween special. That's what it's all about. As it should be. We've got Cults of the Lamb Schism Special number 1 from Oni Press. This is launching a new Cults of the Lamb series with Oni Press. We had the original one that just kind of followed the plot of the book, or not the book, the game. And now we're making a round 2, and basically, if you don't know, this is a story of a little lamb who all of the pious priests of the area decide to sacrifice. All of the lambs, he was the last one left. And when he was killed and sent to the afterlife, a demon told him he would give him the power to go back to the world and save all of the other animals before it was too late and get vengeance on all the people who killed all the lambs. But the only way he would give him that power is if he started a cult to that demon. Well, the lamb just took the power and ran and let some other people run his little cults on his little special sacred place while he just went out and killed people. But now the problem is that there is a person rising up within his ranks that is trying to say that he's not taking care of the members of the cult, but this guy will, and he decides to start making some dangerous happenings go on. And now our little lamb has to make a choice if he's going to protect his people and fight against this upriser, or if he is going to just stay on his own path of vengeance. And we'll see how that plays out as the story unfolds. Barbaric is back with the Black Knight. This is a one-shot that is going to lead us to the next Barbaric miniseries. They're all only 3 issues usually, so this is just a one-shot that kind of ties us from where we were to where we're going. If you don't know Barbaric, it was the story of a knight named Owen, who, or a barbarian, I guess I should say, named Owen, who had a talking sword, a talking axe, named Axe, that he did a bunch of violent deeds with, but he could only do this violence in order to save people, because Owen is cursed by witches for being a bad person and now can only save people. Over the years that this book has been coming out, he has made friends with a lot of people, and in the last volume we actually just saw 3 of the women that he has known along the way team up together. This picks up with those women as they find another talking weapon, which is a like the little flail thing. What is it called? The mace, the swinging thing? Yeah, mace thing. I don't know.
I think it's a morning star if it's on a stick.
If it's on a
mace
chain.
if it's on a chain.
Okay, so it's just a mace, something like that. His name is Flail, and yeah, and he doesn't remember where he's from, and but they know that a dark witch is after him, and so in order to figure it out, they go and find out the information, and basically they have to take this. They need to destroy the Black Knight who owned Flail in order to make sure that Flail's evil power is never spread into this world. But that is not what happens, because bad things always happen in Barbaric and nothing ever goes the way they plan it for, and that is why we set it up for another series coming out of this. And so we get to see witchcraft, we get to see talking weapons, we get to see a whole bunch of Barbaric bloody fighting, and we're setting up a whole new adventure as we need to find our original characters after this. They said at the end we need to find Owen and Soren in order to fix this, and so we know where we're going. We've got Synthetics, Volume 1, Issue 1 from Dark Horse. This is a new J. Michael Straczynski story. And this is all about a world where we are creating artificial life. And they're talking about how it's dangerous to kind of mess with that concept of creating like humanoid people and synthetic humans specifically. And we're following a reporter who has this actually really cool nanotechnology that's in these like nano bees that she can see all these different things going on. And she at the beginning is at this tech conference where they introduce that all this stuff that they're doing, and she's like, well, what about creating synthetic life and artificial life? And they're like, oh, we wouldn't do that because it's illegal. And she's like, what about the fact that it's immoral? And they're like, well, we didn't do it because it's illegal. And then we find out that there are other people who are out there creating things, and the concept of being too far away from synthetic life might actually be a lot closer than what we thought. And so we get to see exactly what that looks like, who's a good guy, who's a bad guy, and all of that. We obviously don't know, but there is a lot coming our way in this issue, and a lot of destruction in the world, and a lot of things that like J. Michael Straczynski has really built for this world already in issue 1, and we're going to see even more of that as it unfolds. TMNT has their annual, and this is from IDW. And this is not done by either of the writers of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles that are happening right now. Like, this is not Jason Aaron or Gene who's taking over. This is just a standalone story. Basically, all of the Turtles, after the part that just ended with Jason Aaron, everything that just happened in their run, the Turtles have come back to the sewers and are just kind of having a sit-down dinner. And they kind of, like, while they're sitting there, Donatello's like, hey, I think we need to take some time and actually talk about all the stuff that happened to each of us when we were separated all that time. And Leo is like really pensive and has his like broody moment, and Michelangelo's like, fine, I'll go. And he tells this story about when he was working as a Hollywood star in Japan, a Japanese TV star, and the fact that he actually had time with the spirit and what he learned from it. And then Raphael's like, I'll tell you this great story. And this is all of Raphael's story right here on this page. And it's just the story of Raphael punching people in different places, which Michelangelo immediately calls him out and is like, dude, that's not a story. That's just you punching people. And he's like, yeah, the best parts of the story. And then Donatello's like, hey guys, I think Leo's been really trying to tell us an important story. And so we finally get to have any knowledge of what happened to Leonardo in that time, because he's the only turtle that we haven't really seen. And we see him talk about how he tried to stop a man who was mutated, who lost his brothers, from kind of going down a dark path, and how Leo used that moment to kind of realize that it was his fault that everything that happened to the turtles happened. Like, he really feels like he's the leader and he's the oldest and he's supposed to be the one to save them all. And they finally get to have this moment where they just get to talk about all of the stuff that's been going on between them. And so it's just a really cute story that gives us a little bit of the turtles actually being a team again, emotionally, since we just had them be a team, like, physically. We've got Godzilla versus America. He is in Kansas City this time. This is from IDW, and they've been doing different cities across America as they just put Godzilla in them with these anthologies. And this one it's the first story is all about a kid who's a graffiti artist who wants to create like the most perfect piece of graffiti, and it's just trying to find out like what way can he do that. And then Godzilla attacks and starts destroying the city, and so he's got to help save some people through it, and maybe get his graffiti on at the same time. And then of course we get a story with the like Xylians coming in and trying to control Godzilla and the attack and everything happening in Kansas City, and they accidentally create tornadoes, and Kansas City tornadoes just kind of tear stuff up for them. And then we have a story that does a two-part thing, which is called Lost in the Sauce, and it's all about the sauce from all the runoff of sauce from all of the barbecue that's made in Kansas City becomes these giant, like, they get radiated essentially by Godzilla, and so they become these giant sauce-based kaiju, and it's up to the small business owners of Kansas City to fight back against them. And they come up with this crazy plan, and this one guy just really wants to eat the he's like, what if we just eat these kaiju? Like, what if our plan is to kill them in a way that we could eat them? Like, and he's like kind of obsessed with it, and they're all like, oh my god, like, move on. But I love this actually because there's this scene in here that is totally like your Jaws homage, because when they're having their town hall meeting, like, you get the guy that's sitting by the chalkboard to tell you, like, that's a big fish, like, ooh, you're not going to be able to catch it, we got to come up with a plan. And I was like, that's Quint, like, that's just Quint, but in Missouri. And then this story has a sequel to it, where a young woman has just moved, her and her sister, to Kansas City to try to actually make barbecue and to make her own sauce, like barbecue sauce. And her sister's like, well, that was a stupid plan. Why would you come to a place that's known for sauce to make sauce? And then the sauce monsters attack, and so they get their own, you see their specific part of the story. I don't know a lot about Kansas City, so I didn't know if I got, like, I don't know, like, all the, like, little things, but you can tell, like, the way they draw certain things. Like, if you know Kansas City, like, there's a, like, art joke in there, too. But there's definitely, like, there's at least one point where the Chiefs Stadium and the Kansas City Royals stadiums are both in there. So that was cool. We've got The Return of the Beauty. This is from Ignition Press. This is The Beauty is a book that came out from Jeremy Hahn. We are about to see a TV show come out for that from FX. And they are bringing that story back in a new way. You do not have to know the story of the beauty. Jeremy does a good job of kind of recapping what that actually is at the beginning of this book so that you can jump into it. But if you don't know, the beauty is basically a STD that people want to get, because when you get it, it turns you into a beautiful person, and people just want to be gorgeous and hot, and so they're so like not like worried about getting it, even though like it can still lead to like death and danger. People are like, I'd rather be hot for a small amount of time than never be beautiful. And it's telling us this news story about people who are a man who is a weatherman, and they are basically trying to replace him from his job with Dan the weatherman, and he hates Dan the weatherman because everybody likes him, and he hates the other girl in town who's a weather woman because they're like, everybody loves this meteorologist because she's so pretty. And so he goes to a friend of his who has always run beauty parties to help people contract the beauty, and he's like, I need you to get me into this party. And he's like, dude, it costs millions of dollars to get into my party. And he's like, don't care, get me in, you owe me. And he's a total jerk, and I hope he dies as a character because he's awful. But he's definitely trying to get himself connected, and we do see how the stuff from the beauty, like they're like these characters are kind of from like the past, and this is what they were up to, and now we're seeing like what their connection is to it now. Again, if you haven't read the beauty before, you don't have to. However, Ignition did put out a hardcover, a special copy that was exclusive for like that had a local comic shop day printing, but it's still available if you want to read the beauty in its full. You can get that new Ignition Press hardcover, and I believe we might even have some of the old Image ones from when the beauty was originally released. I'm going to take another drink because we are moving on to Pixel 8. I'm going to do this last. Okay, so this book actually came out last week, and it didn't end up in my pile, and so making it up to them by putting this in there because this is The Guy in the Chair, issue 1, and it's from Dark Horse, I think. Yeah. This is kind of like Don't Forget Your Briefcase for me, where this is like an off-the-wall, weird, like, spy thriller fun thing that, like, this is not going to be, like, the book for everybody, but if you're looking for something, like, completely different, this is one that does really different really well. This is about a guy who works for a company that basically they have all the like agents that go out and do all the spy work and do all these operations, and then they have the people who are the guy in the chair back home, you know, the one that watches their back, sends in the drones, finds their way out, kind of gives them all the information, the oracle, if you will. And this guy has top numbers in his company. He and his field agent never miss. They always get their mark. They always do all of the they always have the best record for getting stuff done, and so he's always bragging. But he's also kind of in love with this girl, like, because he's been watching her his whole life, and they've had this perfect relationship where they're the best team. And so while all of his family is like, hey, you need to find somebody, and everybody else is like, hey, what about this? He's like, oh, no, it's fine, like, and they're like, don't you like that girl from work? And he's like, but he can't talk about what he does, so he thinks he's just in IT. And he's like, oh, you can't date people at work. It's against IT protocol. Super fun just to see him kind of try to like blend into the regular world. Like this page I think has him at a family party where he's supposed, like they're just talking about like what they're doing. There's supposed to be a wedding he's going to. Anyway, one day when he is off work for the weekend and bored out of his mind, they send his operative on a mission without him, and something goes terribly wrong, and he comes in and finds out that something has gone terribly wrong when he comes back to work on Monday. And insert dun-dun-duns, big things coming with this story. It is going to be a lot of fun. Again, like if you're looking for another one of those like thrillers where you're like, wow, this is really fun, but also kind of funny and like humorous and off the wall, and not something that you thought it was going to be at all, this is definitely going to be another one. And I think, is it Hannah Rose May, the person who wrote Exorcism at 1600 Pin? I think so. But yeah, I'm really excited to see where this one goes, and I'm so sad that I missed it last week, but I'm happy that I did because now it gets to be my pick this week. So yay. We've also got Return to Sleepy Hollow issue 1 from IDW, and I am putting this in my picks because it is Halloween all the time, and also because it just gives Matt and I an excuse to tell everybody to watch the movie. If you didn't see the Tim Burton Sleepy Hollow movie, this does use the Ichabod Crane story from that. This is not completely in line with the original Ichabod Crane Headless Horseman. It is more in line with the Tim Burton story, which they completely and totally tell you 4 different ways in this book, so you don't have to worry about that. But this is 15 years after Ichabod Crane stopped the craziness that was going on with the Headless Horseman in Sleepy Hollow. He has moved on. At first, he left with Katrina, who is the prominent woman from the Sleepy Hollow area that helped him, that he originally accuses of being the person behind the murders. But she has come back and is now running the cemetery, or the mortuary in, I just like that page, in Sleepy Hollow, and a bunch of murders have started happening again, and they are now hitting like the 5th murder in this weird way, and she is trying to tell the sheriff of the town, constable of the town, that there is something going on, and it's very reminiscent of some kind of magical murders, and maybe they need to be concerned with it. Well, a letter arrives to Ichabod Crane right before he is leaving to go start a residency at a university that says it's from Katrina, asking him to come back to Sleepy Hollow. And he arrives at her doorstep for the first time in years that they see each other. And she has no idea why he's there because she did not send the letter. But she doesn't want to let him know that because she wants him to actually help solve the case. And she's trying to keep some secrets from him that I'm not going to reveal to you, that you have to read the story to find out. If you are a fan of Sleepy Hollow at all, you should definitely read this book, whether that's the movie version or the classic thing. Even if you love the Disney story of Ichabod Crane, you should definitely read this. And if you are like me and you feel that Sleepy Hollow is one of those stories that just resonates fall, and the sense of the season, this one definitely, you get that all from the art and what these weird mysterious murders are going to end up being and where this story is going to go. I'm excited to see, because obviously we all know the story of Ichabod Crane and everything with the Headless Horseman there, but we don't know what happened later, and so having a new story in that world is going to be really, really cool. And lastly, we have Feral, issue 17 from Image Comics. This is, obviously, we talk about Feral all the time, and I talk about issue 16 being such an incredibly crazy story that was so insane. But this is moving us even further along. If you don't know Feral, it is the story of, it is essentially The Walking Dead with cats. It is a zombie apocalypse story, and we are following a group of cats who have always been house cats who suddenly find themselves on the street as this zombie apocalypse has been breaking out. This arc has been insane because these cats and the little kittens that they've had have found themselves inside of a pet city where they are like, oh, look, this could be a nice place to live, but this city has so many rules, and if you don't abide by their rules, you are punished, and you are killed, or you are taken away. And we just recently found out what the ultimate punishments can be, and it scared our cats so much that they decided they needed to get out of this pet city, and the only way they could do it is by turning on all of the electricity and actually opening the doors. Except that led a zombie horde into the building, and now we have all kinds of drama going between everybody in the team, and we have the drama. Oh, that's a spoiler. I don't want to show you that. We have the drama of them actually trying to see, is it worth getting out? Is it worth staying in? How do we survive these zombies that are coming in right now? Somehow, these cats oftentimes have more emotional range than we see in human characters and stories. And Tony Fleece is really nailing the writing on this and really building this out so much. If you were a fan of Stray Dogs and you were like, man, I wish that would have been an ongoing, I can tell you right now, I just did a podcast with Tony Fleece and they asked him how many issues this is going to be, and he said his goal is 60. 60 issues of cats dealing with the zombie apocalypse. I'm here for it. Keep going, Tony. Take it to 100. Let's go as far as you want. And if you don't believe me, you can turn this issue around this week and find out that I love this book so much that I have actually the blurb on the back of Feral issue 17 talking about how much I love the fact that Tony Fleece will break your heart and has no problem doing it at all. I'm so incredibly honored. Tony, Trish, Tone, thank you for putting me on the book and putting that blurb on there. That is incredible. I love this book so much. I'm so glad to be on it. Thank you for putting me on the Halloween edition also. I think that's so cool. Me and Michael Myers, we're We're celebrating Halloween together. It's awesome. And seriously, if you loved The Walking Dead and you want more zombie apocalypse, if you like zombie stories in general, if you love adorable cats and you're okay with watching them get attacked by zombie versions of adorable cats, you should read this book. But also, again, the tension is so incredibly good. The storytelling is amazing. You should definitely be reading it for sure and collecting all of those incredible movie variants. All right, that's what we have for you this week. I'm going to tell you everything else that's still in stock. Other like big 2 and trade paperbacks and things like that. So we've got Mortal Thor issue 3. We're back to just being regular old Thor. Well, I guess he's immortal now. Amortal, not immortal as he most previously was. We've got X-Vengers, which is part of the Age of Revelation, as well as Undead Deadpool and Cloak or Dagger issues 1. All of those kicking that off. Venom, Black, White, and Blood, issue 3. Dr. Aphra, Chaos Agent, issue 5. Boba Fett, Black, White, and Red, issue 2. Spider-Gwen, all new Spider-Gwen, Ghost Spider, as Marvel continues to try to remind you that her name is Ghost Spider and not just Spider-Gwen, has its issue 3. We've got Rat City, issue 19 from your Spawn universe. Radiant Black, issue 38. Imperial War, nope, we just want Imperial. It was Imperial issue 4. Can you grab me that? It's the blue cover. I grabbed the wrong one. While he does that, I'll do Scourge of the Serpent from Conan. This is issue 2. There it is. We've got Imperial issue 4. I was right. And I really need you to see this because the most important thing in Marvel Comics is happening in Imperial right now. The Inhumans. Look at them. Look at them on the cover. You see Lockjaw right there? You see that? Look at that. Inhumans. They're back. I'm so happy. It's so great. Thank you, Marvel. Thank you, Hickman. Battle World issue 2. Batman and Robin Year 1 issue 12. Batman The Long Halloween, Last Halloween issue 10, which is the last issue of that. Those are all other books that came out this week. There was an absolute Batman annual this week, but nobody in the comic industry has any of them left. So thanks. Enjoy it, everybody that got it. The Wake. This is trades that are in stock. We've got The Wake. This is Scott Snyder and Sean Murphy. Vertigo book finally collected in trade paperback form. We've got Frankenstein, Alive, Alive. This is a complete collection of Steve Niles and Bernie Wrightson. Oh my gosh, you know that means I have to open this, right? Oh my gosh, look at that. Look at that. Bernie Wrightson, the master. So good. All right. Oh, sorry, it like popped close.
Yeah, and I was waiting for it to like zoom in and it went to the zoom thing, so whatever.
Whatever. If you want to see how great Bernie Wrightson is, come to the store and pick it up. We've got Lady Mechanica. This is the most recent story that just came out, I believe. No, this is the entire second Lady Mechanica story, The Tablet of Destiny. We've got I Heart Skullcrusher. This is volume 2 of that amazing story. If you haven't read it yet, you should absolutely read it. I love this book so much. All about a young girl who is, trying to play some murder ball to save her friends and make her dead parents proud. We've got Welcome to Twilight. These are stories, an anthology of stories from the Minor Threats world. This is absolutely fantastic. One of my favorite issues of Minor Threats ever exists in here by Gail Simone. You should definitely read that story. Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy's story from a couple years ago is actually collected into this trade paperback form now, which is very exciting. Getting you ready for the fact that Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy are about to have a new story. We've got the hardcover of The Mummy from the Universal Monsters line at Skybound and Image Comics. Very excited. If you didn't get to read this, this is now collected. This is the full thing. We've got Graveyard Club from R.L. Stine. This is going to collect, I believe, Graveyard Club Revenge Game and Graveyard Club Fresh Blood, both stories that have come out over the last couple of years in the Graveyard Club line. Monkey Meat. This is volume 2. This is the summer batch. This is a series that came out over this summer, anthology of great stories about how corporations are very bad, and done by the fantastic Junie Ball. Again, awesome, cool art, full of weird, crazy stuff happening. Definitely check that out. And then Department of Truth, Volume 6 has hit. This is issues 28 through 33 as we get back on the story of Cole Turner and everything that has been happening at the Department of Truth. If you haven't read this yet, you should absolutely be picking up Department of Truth. And then we've got a hardcover of Rook Exodus. This is issues 1 through 6. which are really hard to find now that Rook has continued. And so if you're looking for a way to get your hands on them, this has that, as well as bonus materials and Jason Babbitt Q&A and his sketchbook. We also have Deadpool affirmations, ways to, like he says, live like you can't die. I can't, but you definitely will. And other funny things to make you feel slightly better by Deadpool. Great gift for the holiday season. And then lastly, we've got the new edition of Paper Girls. Look at how pretty that like sparkliness is, that iridescence. This is going to have the entire story in there. This was selected as a great graphic novel for teens by the Young Adult Library Association and was the winner of 5 Eisner Awards. So if you've never read Paper Girls, this is your chance. It's I love that they call it part 80s adventure movie, part coming of age tale with a killer twist. If you haven't read it, grab this. It's $12.99 because of all the spot foil and how cool it is, but I mean it's still a little bit smaller than a regular trade and a fun way to read it. All right, that's all I have for you. Don't forget, if you are near Bat City, this week is Wednesday night is zine night at 6 p.m. It's not Wednesday, it's Thursday. It's Thursday, isn't it? Didn't we move it to Thursday? Or is it Wednesday? Somebody look at the calendar. I'm in on the phone because the phone's in the...
It's Thursday.
It's Thursday. Okay.
6 p.m.
Thursday at 6 p.m. is zine night. Come join us this Thursday at 6 p.m. Be a lot of fun. Come join us at the park over in Palmetto. We'll post the actual name of the park on Saturday from 4 to 6 when we hang out with the Rocky Bluff Library and hang out and read in the park. It's just literally called Reading in the Park. Bring a book and read in the park. That's the whole event. It's going to be great. And we've got Katie's art class 12 p.m. on Saturdays to bring the kiddos out for that. And go out to your comic book store wherever one is near you and grab all of these awesome books as well as everything that's dropping this Wednesday. It's going to be a great week in comics as always. I can't wait to see you around. We'll see you next Sunday right here. Until then, happy reading everyone. Bye.